If you with AI, I will not even better. With like a this means not even because it can help me do the real concept, not can help me easily build and trust. Okay. Here's a being things that maybe you can is fear, right? Fear, plagiarism, fear, big things that you said, fear of students cheating, these things, all right? But I think, but if you look at this and AI, you cannot compare anything to this. If that is, for example, very simple example is copyright leisure. Leisure is something that still perceives the creation of any creative content done by human being. It does not yet cover any creative content that is done together with it. So if you need to look at it like that, so ethics from 154, you will feel that it is very unethical. If you have something that you created from AI, okay? And if you create it different from new ethical law, you can see that especially the new so literacy question because which you write this way. Focusing that's reading on that rather than whose direction of this reading that is given. So the when you look at this, you have to look at it not from the whole perspective but from perspective. And on this, since I'm supposed to give some legal input into an organizer, so I'm giving you some something that we can refer to. The first one, I would think we would refer to international instrument, the international recommendations in ethics agents. So this United Nations document is actually considered to be like some. So some law is actually in international scheme is quite strong. So this recommendation basically lays down certain things that we have to take consideration to review perspective when engagement and education. There are four things that we have to consider in here. The UN recommendation says that we have to make sure that the AI always consider human values first. Set. So it must have human values. If you look at the current acts, sorry, if you look at the whole of the act of instrument of script, it may not be suitable anymore to that we rely on them. The values which are entrenched as the foundation in those provisions, it is still quite applicable. It's just that we have to change what things and when we look at it, the values are still the same. So one of the recommendations of the United Nations, it says that you must always put the human values first. You must always put human rights first as a priority. Okay, and you must always have human dignity first. So these are the three main things in the recommendation. So if we want to keep the objectives, as long as we don't actually depart on these three periods, we are okay, we are okay. The second, this recommendation was actually adopted in 2021 by the United Nations. 2 years later, in 2023, the United Nations United Nations guideline on United Nations guideline on AI in education. So compared to the first UN document, the second UN document, sorry, it's actually United Nations generally AI education. See, it's a guideline on how to generally AI in education. So compared to the first document, this which was right, general, okay, as you can see, it's very fast, right? So in 2023, we have come up with the guideline. 2023 document is now narrowed down not just AI but generally AI, and now it's narrowed down to education compared to the first document. So in the second document, it specifically mentions that you have to look at AI as a creator and just a tool like Google. Okay, so if you look at AI like ChatGPT, for example, as a co-creator, something you can research assistant, right? It is similar to compare them with Google. You just have to compare them with research assistant. So research assistant will do as per redirect. So the idea here is go back to this question of whose direction. You can ChatGPT, I have ChatGPT. Everybody has ChatGPT, for example, but does it actually mean that you can create the same one and the same level of free? Not necessarily, right? So actually it's not question who actually write this. Who write this is whose direction is it actually produce. So I think that's the second document that we can and that one is for the whole document. It's called the Bern Convention. So the Bern Convention was actually in 1880 and it was adopted by Malaysia in 1990 or 1991, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Indonesia adopted it in 1997. So this Bern Convention is a hard on back to the recommendations because recommendations are not binding. Conventions, if you sign them, you ratify them, it becomes binding on you, and you have to advocate the principles in your own internal statement. Okay, so according to the Bern Convention, commercial basically governs things related to the ownership or the authorship in creating event. And I think we can without going too deeply into it, we can see in 1880 there is not even internet. Okay, and 1990 Malaysia adopted it. The internet is very and it was not there yet. Okay, so it is from this Bern Convention that Malaysia has its Malaysian copyright. So the Malaysian copyright act, which in the past has become the cardinal document for our ethics, is now something that we need to revisit and to look back. Because it's based on an international documents from the past as well. So I think if I could just summarize it, answer Azliza's question, the ethics now uh, is something that we have to consider from a more fresh perspective, from the different environment compared to what we had before. If you look at it from the world perspective, you only see, oh, this is an you look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from the perspective where the AI is the assistant, who create the okay, based on these international documents, as soon as the direction comes from the human being, as long as it's actually the idea comes from a human being, then it is actually something that um, we have to like putting the right because you know you now yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shahrul. Wow. Singkat because we need to um, to see the in a different perspective on ethics. It's not that what we even actually had all the law people also like this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Menurut that question also, do you think Malaysian current policy and regulatory to manage AI related issues of the child in education? Obviously, getting up.
Okay, in for Malaysia, closest that we have is usually South Malaysia. It's not linear. Still basically looking at an angle where human is the creator. The other two things which are that we can look at is the one digital that is basically um, to plan like manipulation of population to be technologically driven, be high income, and to be digitalization and technology. So it's not really focusing on AI implementation. It's basically very general. Yeah, it's very general plan. Basically, make sure that Malaysia is moving towards a digital direction. The other one that I think we can report to is the AI roadmap. Okay, and the AI roadmap is from information plan frame one. Yes, because this one is familiar. Okay, so that one is something that we can do as this again is more. So as long as right, we are market and ethics. Talk about ethics and ethics. So yes, those ethics usually are easy to derive from policies, but no, what we have now is basically something that is just I think at the policy here. That's so your question. I would say I have two answers. When we have this just so just it says this is what we have and this is what we should be relying on when we need something when it's right or wrong, when it's according to ethics. We're not there yet. Do we have a good room? Yes, we do. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, okay, answer my question. Thank you, Shahrul. Okay, we understand a lot about the ethic because it's not easy, yeah. Okay, comment, right? Okay, the point is from the industry. So from the industry standpoint, how is the changing the skill set? Okay, and competency expected of graduate entering the workforce.
Very interesting question. The landscape of Malaysia and future is quite sustainable, where AI is posing a threat not only to replace payments but also new demand, new classifications, new type of AI. Like agentic AI was not here 2 years back. Large language models was not invented and applied 3 years back. So every year, new AI competencies are forming up, and that widening the gap or bridge between what university is producing and what university wants. So the life cycle, which is, and I was basically on, my friends from Malaysia, and then when I discussed that there is a red tape in academia that is that is posing a challenge for implementing the new skill set that needs to be taught to the lecturers and students. But not manufacturing. For example, NQA. With so what time you are doing the signal and then you are going for PLO and CLO mapping and then creation, the process of approval will get increased. And then when you are rolling out in the university, maybe the technology is not relevant. So this is a challenge right now in terms of readiness in terms of skills. Now, AI definitely is the end. There are many papers there that is forming the foundation for AI to perform on a stage. For example, even we mentioned about agentic AI ethics. The foundations of them is basically data. And where this data is coming, the data is coming from different ecosystem. It can be cyber physical system in a factory, which is IoT, PLC, SCADA, MES, ERP, can be process, it can be humans. So the data is going continuously flow towards servers and cloud. Now, when the data in a hyper connected factory going or transmitting to the cloud, it is also using enormous energy. Like if you remember Mohd and 25 years back, we were using Nokia 3310. So we charged the time and also 3 days. Only nothing for that. So the usage is increasing. The order third one of you see the mission, there is a new term that is center has to be created to support the AI system. The data is getting bigger and bigger every day. The AI requires a lot of processing power. So you need a supporting role in terms of infrastructure, in terms of economics, robotics, cyber physical systems. And then you need to have technical skills on the new compliance, which is SD based or basically infrastructure based in small development. Then there is a new trend, right? Whether it's MNC, GLs, yours, is to have an internal trace. If you don't know having a data literacy, if you don't know the language of the data, then you can understand the scope of impact AI can create. Just like mentioned on code creation. So for code creation, you need to have an understanding of the AI. The notion in the academia normal work is once you develop an AI system and you deploy it, your work is being done, which is wrong. It's just a first step. You have to continuously maintain the system. You need to continuously improve the system. So I call it CII, is continuous improvement. Now the innovation right now that we have to do has to be data driven because data speaks louder than words. So data driven process and data driven insights give us hindsight, which is descriptive analytics, insight, which is diagnostic analytics, foresight, which is predictive analytics, hindsight, which is so just like 30 years back, it was essential to have analytics from literacy, and then you don't follow the Zoom, and everyone has to learn Google. Google search engine is fostering. I'm not using Google anymore. So if I'm not using Google anymore, what am I using? I'm using Perplexity, so AI. Perplexity is combination of generative AI along with the sources and the references that needs to be given to solutions. So from Infinity, your AI can be able to give you more. There is a paradigm shift. This paradigm shift is from Google oriented ecosystem to Gen AI driven system. But definitely Gen AI cannot be trusted. So I don't use Gen DeepSeek. In fact, for the AI, you need to have data infrastructure, then you need to have data governance and rules and regulations based on different compliance, whether it's a organization compliance, is a GDPR, is a data security compliance. And based on that, you have a continuous operating system, which is for your machine learning, the deep learning, Gen AI structure, cell structure. Now, when you wanted to maintain it, it's quite difficult. So you need an enormous skill set You need to teach the university not counter skill. So agility of mind is that you are prepared to learn new things. Now, in my 20 years, 21 years of experience, I have to learn that treatment everything. So we need to have a mindset of design thinking, system thinking, and future thinking. That needs to be taught in the units. Now, coming back to your question, for AI application to work, you need to have prerequisite knowledge. But it should not be technology set systems and humans. And humans are to system in the same mind, which is in compliance with society and private development. Now, when you develop AI applications, you need to look in terms of ethics, in terms of compatibility, reliance, and also the fact that from the education point of view, we need to ask ourselves one question. In Malaysian context, we have a main group. We have a private institution, we have a KB and IO. So if you are doing the transformation likely I will guess that but about the learning just in a factory model, the supply chain, those are so in IIT, for example, I was being invited to like this. The lectures does not have a set. You can able to see that compare Malaysia with China and Germany. You will able to find that in the top 20 courses that you will find except Malaysia right now is not. So the transformation has to be coming from the norm. So the challenge right now is technology is better evolving and would say is less. There is a quite a bigger gap between towards university. So we have to suggestion we have to self-reliance by collaborating with the industry. As I mentioned about cooperation between human, which is HR, human intelligence, connected HOA, have collaboration between the academician and industry. And then it should be collaborated, which is two universities combined. In fact, the courses, for learning courses from the year one, it has to be taught also places and in the race. Because when you are having a capital qualities, those steps so every course after something work here, any it really matters that is coming from the industry. Because the goal is to towards AI. That's what so that is why.
Thank you. It was very long explanation on the inset and actually you already give an advice to the university what you I can see that you know more about MQA and then you know what to use to add. So but you are been involved in the academy also? Or you been an advisor or something maybe?
I'm working on triple helix. I used to be technical advisor to the next state government 20, and then CIU national corporate. I currently actually serve young one. Currently, I'm in leaders advisors for calculation and so on. So I am regularly involved by giving input something. So we are very close to and also interesting. Here's the end. And we identify on the grassroots level 1%. So we can make Malaysia great thing in terms of skills because people don't look at and then what the next see and so they develop skill set, resilience, and that resilience requires the notion of psychological and cultural dynamics that they able to be taught in the university. Actually, there's something that you cannot teach in university. It has to be started from primary and secondary. Like when I was revising the press in terms of microphone, when I was 7 years back. So there was university students, public university students involved in activities like AI competition in the plan. And there was only one school who were competing. So it was held 3 times in US. And one of the and the first school that was competing at level was at Percent. So this means that if we have the same quality to be applied in science notes and others, we can able to create innovative mindset to the knowledge. So by the time they come to the university, they have the agility. They have agility to the most important skill set that is not involved or designing system language. So my perspective is for only stakeholders, government, spring the government, you government organization in Malaysia is in Thailand. I can safely tell you one thing. Malaysian government is doing one things, one initiative, which is scaling them in terms of skill development. So that now, so by utilizing that one, I think the gap between the universities and the industry can be so
Thank you. Very good. Well, my reading collaboration and business in academia and commissions. Let's move to the next question about empowering educators and institutions. Now, when we go back to the Prof, Paulina, okay, so how can university empower educators to use AI not just as a teaching aid, but as a creative partner to design engaging inclusive learning experience?
Thank you. One thing that we need to do is equipping our educators with the skills. That is the first thing. Without the skills that we give right, just explain just how. How we do it? Actually, a lot of studies have been done, but physicists have been, like for example, even Sigma University in China, but they are doing right now massive training for their educators, whoever it is, and junior educators, senior professors, 4 kinds of training in AI. The interaction, and the teaching and learning, assessment, and research using AI. So everything it has been us, but 4 steps of training. We cannot believe that this thing is the best. We thought it's into 10, but actually what we are doing is really militant. I would say it's really intensive training. Everybody comes. There are good things that your questions. So we are focusing on because I don't think we need to focus on the learner anymore. The learner, actually, they are living in AI. So we are migrating. The learner Gen Z actually is just already living there. One missing things though, according to several studies on the review that I read from I don't know how many thousands literature available, the research on AI, use AI skill, AI literacy, they are focusing on the learner and it's also part of the page. The missing link is the teaching and learning. It's only 14% of the study focusing on the process of the teaching and learning. You know, this is this learner. They're not going to do anything unless there's the process of teaching and learning. And the teaching and learning will just be different with AI. And it's not been studying in one study. That's what it was. Fortunately for this actually because like I mentioned earlier, first of all, for change of mindset. You call it different perspective. You call it HR mind. Okay. Whether you like it or not, new perspective, you have to switch the old traditional things. And in learning, for example, we are still doing actually the traditional teaching and learning. Just put it in the digital and it's going. Okay, that's it. But with AI, it's totally different. It's totally different. The students can do a lot of things, the teachers can do a lot of things if they are not put it together into proper teaching and learning, quality learning. And the teacher or the educators can be hallucinating. They thought, because we're using AI, especially when it's just one. I'm using AI and I'm the best educators. And the students also know the teacher doesn't know. I took the it's coming to me. I just asked, especially those countries who are not English speaking. Like for example in Indonesia, we use Indonesia and AI, Malaysia and Indonesia is a little bit slower than AI in English. So it's just different. If you are writing in English, that that's it. You know, those kind of things. It's just coming taking place, and with proper skills, I believe we can eliminate the hallucination. With the proper skills and knowledge, but Imran here has a good, very good knowledge of everybody has the same knowledge, I think. And without the proper skills and knowledge like that, cannot have and we become hallucinating. That's one of the skills and the changing of mindset. Thank you.
Yeah, you can add benar, yeah.
But because it reminds me of something, because before that, right, uh, we think that, okay, I think I agree with you when you said that, okay, the, the, the lecturers and teachers and the learners, they don't do anything until we give them the skill and knowledge and also the ethics. Okay, so talking, we just want to add a little bit of the mindset, the legal perspective, mindset. Um, I think rather than saying to the students by becoming police, trying to say that that is rude, you are using AI on that, you should use this game. Because maybe we can do is the ethical way of doing it is please be clear. So your writing is usually done by me. And but we can regulate in terms of how that be good. So that's one thing that I would like to add. Another thing is, Dr. Azliza, if you remember, before AI, we have in Wabi, and then before that we have Dacia, So I think you as academicians and history also usually with all this, coming up with blueprints, recipes, and whatnot. And the reason why we have those things as better is history finds people with the CNM. I think the reason is having to do with citizen. Because if we do have something for them to hang on to, they will still be using the traditional mindset. They will still be saying that we use AI and law and reaching on the ethic academic the PhD student. Only when we give them this is the guideline, okay, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is how you can graduate rather than ban the only then can be because if you look at the teachers and lecturers, right? Most of them, for me, based on my experience, they misdirected solution to AI. For example, I was recently invited to I would mention which schools group of teachers were invited to them on their application for me and on based on AI. Their concern is more towards what is the latest AI. What what was doing, I was teaching them, was reminding them that the schools of the approaches in education before we can implement its fit those approaches. Okay, but then their priorities was here this is the latest one. Okay, a function GPT, a function who come back we have done to a different trader, to a different so now we want to listen. How can you teach us what is the latest one? Oh, this one we already discussed. This many teachers chosen, selected to come for the workshop, and this is how they think. So we have to help them with something. So that's why we say, okay, you're going to be in 5 series of workshop. So we come with a guideline for the schools in this particular grade. So that we can actually hang on to that thing. Actually, it's good and we don't have something hard. Because when we don't have something hard, we are not bound by it. So, in January is about that, and international, and something at the national level. When it comes down to the university, this experience usually we will make it January. See, when it comes to university application, the right center, they give it the right to actually come with its own model that suits the university. So this we have to do. Still to the traditional perspective and all that. That is what I wanted to add to stuff.
Thank you, Dr. Harold. So actually, yeah, it's not easy to change our mindset because they've been teaching for maybe 10 or 20 years, and then how you want to change their mindset? So change to adapt to the new technologies, right? And you think the technology is they may be think that the technology is the same thing as just add on a little bit and then say that they are new technology. Okay, and then maybe let's check about the Imran. If you can describe the classroom in the future, okay, where the art is fully integrated, okay, what would this look like? What kind of better educated maybe you can envision on that?
Okay, on the practical aspect of AI, there are many use cases. For example, AI can be used to improve the facial recognition and sentiment analysis of the students to understand who is not attentive in the class and how we can able to the quality of delivery. The future classroom mechanisms the enhancement of the lecture unit where AI is co-lecturer, the co-lecturer by complementing giving assignment based on critical thinking, they can use However, we use it for instance. Now we can give open to generate AI information, but we give them problem that they have to solve. I can able to see how AI can be able to help content creation by complementing the lectures. We can able to see that AI can facilitate speed up process of R&D because enormous time is being spent on reading the literature review, doing the comparative analysis, critical analysis. AI can give us insights much more faster. So I see AI as a catalyst to speed up the innovation process. And AI can also be used to do prediction based on forecasting. So you can able to know how much chances are there that this manuscript will get rejected, whether this manuscript will get accepted based on the criteria of the previously accepted journal publication, the Q1 journals. I can see AI can also complement, improving the hackathon. So if you would like to have a validation of the learning, examination will be obsolete because it's more memory based rather than examination will be the the methodology of exam will change to forum discussion, critical thinking, brainstorming, and hackathon to solve any extreme problem at one time. That is what I am envisioning how AI can complement human, the human-centric environment of the class.
Thank you, Dr. Imran. If we have that dream class slowly that AI, we can have so many things, or so we are become more productive, I think. Okay, we need to conclude. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks on our distinguished panelists, Professor Dr. Paulina Pannen, Director of the Health and Development Side. AI education is indeed not just about technology. It's about reimagining how we teach, how we learn, and we grow together as a global learning community. Thank you everyone for being part of this discussion. I hope today's conversation inspired you to continue exploring and innovating towards a smarter, more inclusive education future. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Ali and our thinking and we complete